What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Magic Hour. I'm your host, Magic and Dairy, aka MagicLeb. Feel free to follow me on my Instagram at Fame Film Agency and click that subscribe button on my YouTube at Magic and Dairy. Today, we have a local Adelaidean comedian, Daniel Venables.
How you going?
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good.
Now just push that a bit like that. There we go.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I even brought it up before we started on mic.
Yeah,
that mic's
fine.
pretty good, but yeah, anyway.
Now, I was trying to do some research on you because I wanted to know more about you. I like to give everybody a nice, thorough background check. And the first name that popped up is Daniel Venables, AFL football player for the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, so it was such a big thing when he was about to get drafted,
You know,
and all that kind of stuff, because the name is not, I'm not John Smith or anything like that.
You know, I was like, what, was he a player then turned comedian? Is that how we put on all that weight?
I was going to say, then you look at me in person, you think...
I didn't want to I wasn't a cheap shot at your physique, but for a second I actually thought that was you.
Yeah. So yeah, he played for a little while. He had a lot of issues with concussion. So he's kind of stayed in the spotlight a little bit because he's trying to, talk about what he went through and all that kind of stuff. He did play in the 2018 grand final and he had 3 touches, did absolutely nothing. So
God.
It's like, you want, the guy with your namesake. But
Let's stop talking about Daniel Venables, the AFL West Coast player, and start talking about Daniel Venables, the Adelaide comedian, 2025 Raw Adelaide winner.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Yeah. Heat winner, I suppose you'd say. So,
Yeah, the Heat winner.
along with Noah Holland, yeah.
Yeah. What does it mean to be a Raw winner? Does it mean that you won the entire thing?
No, so they do. I want to say that year they did 3 heats. It's either 3 or 4 usually, and then basically, so it's out of 10 because we did it together the first year I did it.
Yeah.
And neither of us got through that year. So basically, I got through the heat, and then basically they end up getting 10 total for that final.
Okay.
And then, so I didn't win the final. It was, I can't actually remember who won that final, but
Whoever didn't win the big
exactly. They're not here now, so we're not going to talk about it.
Unless you win the real big prize. I mean, it's not really worth mentioning it anymore, is it?
Yeah,
and
I mean
wild cards and second place. We know on that day, maybe for a few days, and then it's all forgotten about.
But also, I did it mainly. I didn't do it to win it. I did it mainly because it's a good chance to get in front of a good sized crowd.
Exactly.
As well. And they're a very welcoming crowd as well.
Exactly. And you want a nice sized crowd. But you also want diplomacy. You also want a fair judgment, a fair competition. Like I'm not talking about the one that you and I were in. Mm-hmm. I've witnessed others. I've seen other shows. And I got the feeling with certain judges, not all judges, but with certain ones that were judging, it felt like, because that guy's my friend or because I like that person more, I'm going to, do something to make sure they get in the next round or whatever, more than it was about people that actually got the laughs and didn't really get their just desserts. You know what I mean? I feel like some comedians were cheated.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to... especially
or
when
overlooked.
Let's
just say overlooked.
Oh, of course.
I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but what I'm saying is my question is it really based on the talent? Is it really based on who is the funniest, or is it based on another agenda that they're not putting out there? Because I even heard that one person said that there was a particular judge, and he's a good comedian, but he doesn't like those comedians that curse. So all those comedians that were cursing didn't get through, but the one that didn't curse did get through. Like, the thing is it should not be based on somebody's opinion of how they think of a comedian more than it should be based on, is that person rocking the crowd? Are they liking that person because of what he is saying or what she is saying and how they are doing their act? Yeah,
I guess sometimes when the judge knows the it's the kind of thing of, I'm not, and it's weird to say because I try and do stand-up, but I'm not a big fan of stand-up in general. I don't go to see stand-up shows, but I do enjoy going and seeing friends of mine who I've met through comedy and seeing them on stage. So I do get that sometimes you want to see them do well, and if you've got a bit of pull behind you, but at the same time, I do think that the correct people get through at the end of the day for the most part. But
that's great. That's what we all want.
Yeah,
it's just like I'm just basically saying what I've witnessed, what I've seen.
Yeah.
Because I saw some people that were hilarious and they didn't even get a wild card. And I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
I laughed more at that person's jokes than I laughed at the other one who won's jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess-
again, is it a taste? Is it a matter of taste?
Yeah.
You know, is it a matter of opinion? You know, but again, it was the majority of the crowd that felt that way. You know, because they were how they would respond to who was up on stage.
Yeah,
You know?
it goes back to comedy is subjective, and
It
you know,
is.
so
I mean, you can always debate it. You can always argue it. I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick or anything. It's just like I don't know. It's like seeing Michael Jackson getting booed. That would never happen. You know what I mean? But if it did, you'd question what's going on.
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That's just how that's how I'm interpreting it. I was trying to do research on you. Your last Instagram post was 39 weeks ago, man, at Nevermind Comedy Club.
Yeah, no, I sort of took a little break for a little while and then went back to Rhino a couple of Mondays ago, and yeah, we'll try and get back into it. So
Yeah, so
it's been a little while, but
you've been taking another break, have you?
yeah, it's one of those things where I mean I've been doing comedy for a couple of years, but it's been really off and on. So yeah.
Well, I haven't been in the comedy scene for now. Maybe just over 4 months now.
Yeah.
Well, I've been busy with this for one
Yeah.
thing, and trying to get sketch comedies together. And at the same time, my mind is very, very preoccupied with what I'm doing here and I don't want to get political, but what's going on in certain areas that you know what's going on in.
Yeah, of
You
course,
know?
yeah.
And because I have family there, I have ties there. You know, it really I have sleepless nights, many
Yeah.
nights. You know, so it's kind of hard to focus on writing jokes and to try to do stand up with all that chaos that's going on. But it's in the chaos is where you should try to find the laughter. You know, is when you need to have the sense of humor the most. But again, it can be very difficult to try to, you know, put in that face like it doesn't bother you when you're on stage when inside it's crushing you. You know what I mean?
I guess it depends on what your style of comedy is, and you could try and use that. If you were further along, maybe you could be like, I could talk a full hour about what's actually going on and my opinions, and try and add jokes. Whereas I'm not smart enough with my comedy to be like, this is the stuff that's pissing me off, so I'm gonna sit there and make jokes about it along the way, as you know, someone like a Bill Burr or someone like that who can just be like, this is what pisses me off, and he's funny about it as well. And so,
Sammy Obeid, have you heard of Sam Obeid?
No, I don't think so.
He came to Adelaide.
Right,
He's a Lebanese Palestinian American comedian, and he talks about this stuff every single night almost. You know what I mean? And it's something new every. How the hell is he doing it? I mean, I've seen this guy's itinerary. He's got 2 shows a day every day for the next 6-7 months.
Yeah, if you're getting your material from,
like, my God,
if you're getting your material from World News,
Yeah.
you would have just
But
endless.
how soon the turnaround, how fast the turnaround is. It's like whatever happened, he's talking about it like minutes later, not like he didn't take a day or a week to come up with this stuff. It's like it was like Jon Stewart with his the news thing that he did, the Daily Show.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm sure with that he probably had a bit more time to prepare.
Yeah.
But Sammy's like bang, 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 bang. You know what I mean? But they're still quick. Jon Stewart is still fast.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
But the production, the whole quality, you know, he's putting on a real live show, whereas Sammy's doing stand up in clubs. You know, but how they turn it around so quickly is beyond me. I mean, that's beyond talent. You know what I mean? That's something that we all wish that we could aspire to.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that we can take something and turn it into a joke like in seconds.
Yeah.
You know, I've told this story on my show before, and I want to tell it again. Chris Rock and Kevin Hart were at a comedy club, and they were sharing a booth, and they were writing jokes, and they were comparing. Do you think this is funny? Is this funny? Yeah, I think it's okay. I think if you work on this, it's okay, no problem. Then Dave Chappelle walks in and says hi to them. And Dave, you performing tonight? No, I'm just here to watch y'all, and you know, I'm just chilling out. And then the manager of the club comes in and goes to the table and said, "Listen, one of our acts can't make it. He's stuck in traffic or something. He can't make it. I've got 15 minutes closed. I need somebody to fill in. Can one of you do it?" He goes, "Oh, no, I'm not coming for another hour, whatever." And then they asked Dave, "I'll do it." Mm-hmm. Dave had no material. He was just there to, you know, just to watch the crowd. He got up on stage, did his 15 minutes. Kevin Hart and Chris Rock balled up the pieces of paper and threw them away. He goes, "What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? What we did nothing. This guy was getting the laugh. We wrote nothing that was as funny as what this guy just said.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that natural talent. And Chris Rock and Kevin Hart, they're big comedians.
Chris Rock is one of my absolute favorites,
You know,
especially from his early 90s.
Yeah, like Bring the Pain and Bigger and Blacker.
But then, you know that Chappelle is next level. Once again, I mean, and they're pretty close to the top, and then you can add him to the next level up. Yeah,
I mean, like in the 90s, I felt like Chris Rock was an extension of Eddie Murphy.
Yeah,
you know, I would label him as an extension. Like, you know, you can tell that because Eddie Murphy discovered Chris Rock. You know, I don't know if people know that, but he actually saw him at a comedy club. Said, you know what? I'm going to put you in my new movie, The Beverly Hills Cop 2, where he played the valet driver to park that big ass truck.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how they got acquainted. But Dave Chappelle, I feel Dave Chappelle is like a reincarnation from Richard Pryor.
Right.
All right. Richard Pryor even said to Dave Chappelle, if I had to pass the torch on to anybody, it's you.
Nice.
You know what I mean? What kind of a compliment is that to get from bloody Richard Pryor?
Yeah.
You know, oh my God. Like, that's the ultimate compliment. I mean, you can't get better than that. I mean, we can tell Dave Chappelle how much we love him, and it doesn't mean shit. But from Richard Pryor to say that, that means something. And I even saw a video the other day with Pauly Shore.
Yep.
He was sitting with a very ill Richard Pryor on his way out. You know, not feeling well. And Richard Pryor was talking about what's going to happen to his body when he dies. Does he want to be buried? Does he want to be cremated? And Pauly Shore made a joke saying, we can cremate you and I can sprinkle you on my pizza. You know? And you'd be like paprika. And that made Richard Pryor ball laughing.
Yeah.
And he said to Pauly Shore, you are one funny dude, man. I mean, that's that compliment get from that.
That would have stuck with him for the
rest of his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, nothing he will do will ever be more prouder than that moment in his life. And maybe that would happen for us. You know, maybe somebody will say to you, man, you're funny as shit. Somebody big, you know, somebody huge will say that to you. Or imagine you got a kick-ass podcast. You know, we don't know. All right, so moving on. Now, you took time off before you won the Raw. I remember when I met you, you hadn't done comedy in a while. And now, are you a comedian by passion, or did you run out of normal life options?
The reason why I started doing comedy was more based on I love writing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily all comedy based, but writing in general. And it did feel like, you know, if I didn't commit to trying to make a career out of it, it's kind of like, well, the only way to get noticed with something like writing, especially if you want to do comedy, is
I adore writing. I'm a big passion of writing.
Yeah, I'm much more. I mean, you can tell by me being on stage that I'm just not. I'm like a lot of comedians are, and it's kind of interesting that there's a lot of introverts in stand-up comedy. But I'm just not I hate being the center of attention.
Really?
I hate birthdays. I hate being on stage. But it's the kind of thing. But then what does happen with stand-up, and I'm going away from your question a little bit here, but what does happen with stand-up is I'll be shitting myself the entire time before I get up there. The second you get on stage, it just switches on.
Yeah.
You go, you do your and then when you come back, you're just so relieved, so happy you did it, and you're so ready for the next. I mean, unless you completely bomb, which does happen, and then I think, why the friggin' hell am I putting myself through this or whatever?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of how I got into stand-up, was through the writing side of things, and also kind of always having a bit of a, especially growing up, having a bit of a love for it. And
so you do have more passion for it. Now, when you write, what do you normally write? Is it fiction or journal or what?
It's a lot of, early on, I was just trying to write things. So when I first started stand-up, I went by Daniel Francis instead of Daniel Venables. One, because I thought that people would be able to read Francis a lot easier on the page than Venables, so my name wouldn't get fucked up all the time. But then the other thing was I kind of thought I could go up on stage, be a completely different person, and then just talk about whatever I want, whatever I found funny, and just make up stupid shit. Because it's like, well, that's Daniel Francis is almost doing a character in a way. But then the reason why I wanted to go back to Daniel Venables was because, my material started getting a lot more personal.
That's a very unique and interesting name, Venables. What is your background? Is it because it sounds? I thought it almost had like a Spanish feel to it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you exactly. I've never really looked into it. The interesting part is Dad's adopted, so obviously he wasn't technically. He was adopted into the Venables name, so his bloodline doesn't go any further than him. But yeah, no, I couldn't tell you a whole lot about. I mean,
Okay.
it's just never been. Yes.
No, it's just a very, very. I've never met many white Australians with a name like Venables. You
Yeah,
know, it's always
yeah.
been Anderson or Thomason or something white. Something very Aussie. Like,
Pretty much,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
It would make life a lot easier sometimes. When
No, but that's
when
why
you're trying to
I'm
spell it.
intrigued.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't help
yeah.
but be intrigued.
Yeah.
Like if you came to me and you said, my name is Abdullah Raslan, I'm like, really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How did you get that name? It's okay. Now, when did you realize that you were funny? You were actually funny.
I don't know if I've realised that yet.
You still haven't realized that? Okay.
Yeah, just like
Not
why is he
applicable
here?
at
Yeah,
this point.
exactly.
Okay.
I don't know. I've always. I mean, maybe it's a fat child part of me that's like, well, if you can't get the girls with your looks, you got to try and get them with your personality. But then even my personality is kind of shit half the time as well.
It's amazing that you'd say that because, like, okay, I'm still big, but I was a lot bigger than this 2 years ago. And I had the same kind of mentality. For every kilo you're putting on Magic, that's another book you have to read. All right, because if you can't, you're not going to get women with the way you look. At least try to get them with some engaging conversation and be more intelligent. But then I realized women don't like men that are more intelligent. So we always have to act dumber than they are, which actually makes us extra intelligent to do that. And they end up sniffing it out, and they feel like they were used the whole time. Anyway, like the fatter you got, the smarter you had to be, or the funnier you had to be. You had to make it up for other attributes that you were lacking.
Yeah, and I think also for me, I try and make comedy out of sadness. Essentially, like the world's a shit place, and it's either you go along with it and just get deeper and deeper into a hole, or you try and sort of perk yourself up a little bit by making jokes about life and whatever. And I guess that's sort of where I'm trying to go with my a lot of my comedy at the moment. My wife and I, we've been trying for 8 years to have children. Nothing's come of it. We're going down the IVF route, all that kind of stuff. And that's what a lot of my stand-up is, and that's what I'm trying to do. Hopefully next year with a fringe show is to do an hour-long basically about our journey and whatnot, and try and make some jokes about it. And that is how I deal with that side of things, is because it really does suck behind the scenes. But it's like,
of course. I mean, that's what's amazing about being in the arts, especially if you're one that's capable of pulling it off. It's the artist's voice that really hits home, that can take something so real and make you and help you deal and cope with what's going on around you.
Yeah, and also unfortunately it's relatable. So there's plenty of people out there that's dealt with the exact same things that we've dealt with, and hopefully someone could come to my show and be like, look, we're in the exact same boat. And
I mean, look, we had George Carlin in the 60s and 70s talking about the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
How and back then the Vietnam War was very taboo. But, talking about it means you're going against America. Things like that. And the way he brought it out there made everybody aware of it, made everybody comfortable with it, made everybody want to fight for it to stop it. I mean, if it wasn't for people like him and Bob Dylan too with his lyrics, if it wasn't for people like that, we would all be slaves to the establishment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these people are creating doors and busting them open. That's where all these leaks are coming from, and the establishment panics.
Yeah.
Because God forbid we have our own opinion and free thinking. They don't want that anymore. It's like it's as if they don't want us to think anymore for ourselves. Like I remember even in school, in grade school, if you want to pass grade school, all you have to have is have a good memory. Even high school, you just have to have a good memory.
Yeah.
What they teach you is just remember what they said and do it. God forbid you express an opinion that they are not prepared to answer because it's not in the curriculum, it's not in that establishment. You'd be like, okay, you don't belong here, or I'm having trouble with you, or no, just follow this and you'll be fine. Okay, I'm just going to give you an A to pass you by, or whatever. They panic if you have a thought. If you debate them, they panic. If you talk about any kind of war, like, okay, we learned about Captain Cook, right? Captain Cook discovered Australia.
Yeah.
Right? And fifth graders, he was a hero, whatever. By the seventh grade, I go to my teacher, but didn't he slaughter a bunch of Aborigines? Oh, can't talk about that. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about late 80s, early 90s.
I was going to say it's interesting that at that age, because it took me many years
to figure that out.
I was well out of school before I started noticing.
Exactly. So I didn't know that but my brother told me because he was 5 years older than I was, and he learned this in high school.
Yeah.
So I took this to grade school, and they were like, they did not know how to answer that question, and they didn't actually want me to ask these questions.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they were, and that's how life has become. Like, you were supposed to know this and only this, and you're not supposed to know more than this.
Yeah. And they've got a set agenda of like, right, we're going to start here. We're going to go from top to the bottom of the page.
And they handcuff you in work. You know, you can only make this much. You can't make more. Even if you work well or if you're better than others, this is it. This is how it's going to be. It's like, it is enslavementship, in this way. And people like you in the arts can help break through that, can make people aware of that, and maybe hopefully help people do something about that. Now, I know myself, I am never going to get work here in Australia, never going to get a job here. I won't get a job pushing a broom in this country. One of the reasons why I left Australia to begin with was after I graduated university, I couldn't get a job in my field. Yeah. I got one job, lasted 8 months because that company went broke, and I was like doing my internship there. I went in the Gulf, worked 16 years, and they told me I didn't have enough experience to work here. I come back, I got over 16 years of experience. You got the experience, but now you're too old.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Just say, I like honesty, even if it's brutal. Just say, we just don't want you. We just don't want you. I had one guy, he offered me a job. I didn't call this person. This guy offered me a job. Sujan Studios, it's a photography place that do videography. And he said, I saw a movie that you make. Can you send me your show reel? So I sent him my show reel. I sent him my YouTube. And then he said, I can't hire you anymore. I said, why? Because you're a pro-Palestinian supporter. Uh-huh. Those were the words. I said to him, dude, what if I was gay? And he said to me, I can't hire you because you're gay. I can see you for that. Right? I mean, how is this any different?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? So anyway, but after that, I just knew I'm doomed. I'm basically doomed. Maybe I can get a job at Bunnings. I'm sure I can pull that. Bunnings hire everybody, man. That's what I love about Bunnings. Bunnings to me is the United Nations. Right? There's diversity there. You see an LGBTQ person, you see a black person, you see a white person, you see an Arab person. They all come together with love. And that's what Bunnings is. I think Bunnings is more than just appliances, man. It's a place where it's like a united front. Yeah. It's like if you're rejected everywhere in the world, come to Bunnings. We'll fix it up.
Yeah.
You know? Whew, that was a mouthful. I was trying not to get political and got a little bit political. Now, tell me about do you remember your very first performance on stage?
Yeah, so that was it would have been Laugh Lab, Rhino Room, it was whatever, it would have been November of 23 or 24. Just went up, had 5 minutes worth of material. I think I sort of got the light, maybe had one more bit to go, and just sort of was like, that'll do, whatever. Got a really good reaction.
On your first time you got the light?
In terms of they gave me the 4.5 minute. And then I remember this, I think coming back the very next week thinking, I'm good at this. And then it was got absolutely no reaction out of anyone. I think because the first one, they're all like, it's his very first time. Let's give him,
So you felt like they were humoring you or showing extra encouragement because it was your first time, like forced encouragement? Yeah,
not so much, but whether or not I just sort of didn't put as much effort into the second time thinking, this is pretty easy or whatever, or whatever. But the first time was really good. I think it was, is it Sean Quinn? Is that his name? Yeah, I think he was hosting. It was really good. It was cool to, I've always known about Rhino Room, and it was cool to actually find. It would have been cool back in that, because I think, I've heard you say before, did you do any shows at the old Rhino Room?
No, I didn't. Just the one that's in Perry Street.
Yeah. So no, it would have been cool to, that has been long gone, so obviously I would have had to have started a lot earlier. But it's just cool. It's for Adelaide, it's such a, legendary stage to sort of be on, and it's where everyone goes. So it was just cool. And it was good just to be, I was probably 12 months into wanting to do this, and it was nice just to finally get up there and, rip the Band-Aid off and give it a crack. So
Well, the Laugh Lab at the Rhino Room is the perfect place to start. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. It's a shame that in Adelaide there's not a whole lot of options, but I mean, what better option?
But at least the Rhino is consistent and it's always there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that we need at least one place that we know will never disappoint in terms of being able to perform there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's a great place to be. Yeah, if anyone ever wants to try stand-up, I would definitely recommend it.
And I'm doing this for free for you guys, Rhino, talking about you all the time. Yeah, I remember I did my first set at Rhino after I came back to Australia. I was here for a year before I realized that we had a comedy place. And again, I wasn't really familiar. I'm used to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Wherever I traveled and did my comedy, they'd always give you 7 minutes. They give you up to 7 minutes. You can finish in 3. But they gave you a 7-minute spot. And when I was at the Rhino, they didn't tell me specific times. They didn't. They said when you got between 5 and you're flexible. You're flexible if you could do 5. So I thought, okay, I had a good 7. And I had no idea because I thought, I got easy 7 because I saw like 3-4 comedians before me. They were up on stage for 15, 20 minutes, each one of them. I said, yeah, no, I'm not going to be up on stage that long. And I didn't realize the light was flashing. You don't see it.
There is so many lights already in your face.
Yeah,
to have one more.
You can't tell. Yeah. So they cut my mic. And I was like, I was just about to get to my last joke. I was this close to actually finishing my set.
Yeah.
And I think I may have ruined my chances for future shows because they remembered that they think that I was a deliberate rule breaker. So they didn't want, because the next 2 times I went there, I was told, I'm not going to mention the person, I was told you only have 3 minutes. 3?
Yeah.
3? No, I can't do 3. I mean, like, hi, Hawaii, and what's going on? That's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so the second time I went there, they go, okay, 3 minutes again. Oh, come on. And the third time I went there, the last time I went, I hadn't been for like 8 months, and I put my name up and I didn't get offered a time. I just got booted out. We can't fit you in because too many people have signed up.
Yeah.
I was the first one to sign up. It didn't matter. So I said, okay, no worries. But I think I damaged myself just from that one performance, which is why I don't go there as often as I should. But I still have to go there to check out the talent. Now, do you find living in Adelaide that it's a great place for comedy or just a place where comedians eventually become famous somewhere else?
It's certainly not. Yeah, it's certainly not the place in Australia to. Yeah, it's a good place to get started, but this isn't where you need to move to Melbourne or Sydney, and then up from there. So I do understand, but I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of talent that comes out of, starts in Adelaide and in the Adelaide comedy scene. So
yeah,
but yeah, it is definitely that stepping stone to
like a warm up.
Yeah, exactly right.
Before you get the title shot at Melbourne or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, where in Adelaide should absolutely not be turned into a comedy venue, but probably already has?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Where here in Adelaide is already a comedy venue and it shouldn't be a comedy venue?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah. Don't know. I mean, most things are in the city, I suppose. So yeah, no, I'm not too sure, honestly.
Because, but the thing is, like, I love how people are popping up everywhere now. You got Tommy Bird. He's doing his chuckles.
Yeah. There's
a new one now in Hindley Street. Something about Hindley Street. I think Stephen Lockwood's involved in that one.
Yeah.
And I think Nevermind is still happening.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into that one lately because I don't know whether they kept it going through Fringe and whether it's back now or not. But yeah, as far as I know, it's still. And
Crankers, I think Crankers is over now.
Crankers over just because of the venue itself and whether or not if Ross sort of gets something else going in between the, going to a different venue or something like that. But yeah, I loved Cranker back in the day was fantastic.
I heard it was a very big place. It was like competing with the Rhino basically.
Yeah, and I mean Ross Voss was a great room runner, and he'd sort of give you that. He'd give you a chance. He'd start you at 3, and then if you have a good 3, you'd move you up to 5, and go from there. So yeah, no, definitely missed that one. But yeah, there's a few people doing getting some things. I think maybe Ali Dent's getting one down at Christie's Beach sorted again, which is great because I live down south. So yeah, wouldn't mind
so
somewhere a bit closer.
Area.
Yeah. I guess there's nothing north though. I guess is the only thing. But
no. See, like I've always been trying since I've been back to try to get a dedicated team to be part of sketch comedy.
Right.
Yeah. Because I'm a huge fan of sketch comedy. I love it. I mean, I love doing stand-up. Stand-up is great because you get to interact with the crowd. But something about sketch comedy, you are the god of this creation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All right. The buck stops with the creator and the creators that are involved. We can go as controversial as we want. We can go as whatever we want, provided that we keep it funny, not just to piss people off for the sake of pissing people off.
Exactly.
You got to keep it funny.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I have a couple of people, but just not enough to get things going because in Bahrain, I was doing one sketch almost per week. Every week for like 6-7 straight months. I was doing sketches, pulling them out of one after the other because I had a dedicated team, you know, and they were open to controversy. They were very open because they were black. Most of them were Black Americans because there was a Navy base in Bahrain. Right. So I made a lot of friends with Americans, and many of them were Black Americans, and a lot of it was race related. And they were laughing their asses off with these scenarios, and we were doing them together, and it was terrific because I played a character who was an Arab person with broken English, and they'll be playing, you know, your typical Black American, and it just meshed in so well. Now, of course, being in Australia, there aren't many Black Americans here. No. Almost none. I haven't met one yet, you know, but there are a lot of Black people here. You know, you got a lot of African people here, not African American, but African type people here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is that angle you can play with. And of course, you got the Aboriginal people here, and that angle you can play with. Again, I'm not going into where you think I'm going with this conversation. But what I'm saying is if we wanted to attack certain things that would affect these kinds of people, I can do it in a funny ass way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I can really do it in a funny ass way. And I have a sketch. It's about, I'm not going to tell you the plot of the sketch, but I'll tell you the title. It's about a laundromat owner, and the name of the laundromat is called Whites Only. Right. That's it. That's it. I'm not going to go any further than that. But you can imagine the potential of how far that can go.
Yeah, it's good
stuff,
what I
mean?
For sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to get that together. And a lot of people saying, oh, if somebody saw me in this, you know, I might get in trouble, or, you know, my boss won't be too happy if I was to do that. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's an acting thing. It's an acting thing. You're not this person. People know you are not this person. You are playing a character. Yeah. If your boss or whoever is in charge of you is going to be offended of that, you should, like, where do you stand? I mean, you should not feel this imprisonated, you know, like you should be able to do what you want if you feel like you want to do it without having to worry about any certain potential consequences.
Yeah, exactly,
you know?
Right.
And I just feel like, again, the restriction is killing me. I don't want to keep talking too much. Here we go. Now, Daniel, what do people completely misunderstand about being a comedian?
I guess that, I guess with what I was talking about earlier with being introverted and whatnot, I think there's, a lot of people that just think, oh, you were the class clown and all that kind of stuff, and you want to be the center of attention and this and that. But I think just everyone in the comedy world is coming from a different background and have different views and all that kind of stuff. So I guess what people could misinterpret is that all stand-up comedians or all comedians in general are, coming from are all very similar people. But I guess, to me, there's a lot of different. Whereas when you're on stage, maybe it seems like, you're all exactly the same. But.
No, exactly right. I think a persona to me is just as important, if not more so, than your material.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how that person delivers that joke can differ from how another person would deliver the exact same joke. It's about the persona, but how it's done.
Yeah, I often think I kind of wish that I could write for someone else, because myself once I get on stage, all the nerves and the all that kind of stuff takes over, and it's hard for me to get the words out and whatnot. And I kind of wish, someone else could deliver my material so much better than I could.
Yeah, I believe that too. Like, let's say you wrote a joke that said I was in the elevator and I farted in front of everybody. Okay,
sounds like something. Yeah, sounds like my material.
Now, imagine if that was said in the voice of Gilbert Gottfried.
Exactly right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, if he just said it and it wasn't that funny, his voice alone will sell it. His voice alone will get, or Bobcat.
I love Bobcat.
Imagine if he said that exact line. I went into an elevator and I farted in front of everybody, and that was the way he would say it.
Yeah,
and like you just bust yourself laughing. It really comes down to persona, and it also comes down to likable. If you like these people, you're a fan of these people, you're gonna laugh more because you have a love for these people as well. If somebody like I haven't, it's very hard for me to enjoy a comedy of a comedian that I dislike. Mm-hmm. Like there are comedians I dislike. I'm talking about famous comedians, not Adelaide-based comedians. I'm talking about famous comedians. There are comedians that I don't like Kevin Hart's comedy at all. Stand-up.
I wouldn't say that I've really watched much of it to begin with, but it's never really interested
in
me.
Movies, the character comedy is fine. Okay, I can handle him in movies. Scary Movie that he 3, I loved him in it. I thought it was very funny in that film.
Yeah.
But as a comedian, nothing. Like nothing. I didn't even crack a smile. Like, how the fuck is this guy so rich and doing this? This guy sucks. He's like a black Dane Cook. I watch Dane Cook and I don't like him either. Again, in movies, he's fine. But on stage, I think he's appalling. And I just could not laugh. Moving on. Speaking of comedians, famous ones, who are your inspirations?
For me, it's not a lot of stand-up. It's more... So I grew up watching... we're talking about sketch comedy before. I'm huge SNL fan, just start to finish, watch it. Not quite so much these days, but not relentlessly, but back in the day, especially when when I first got my DVD player, buying all the best ofs.
Who was your favorite cast in the SNL?
Well, they always say it's the cast that you grew up with. It was definitely for me, it was early 90s. So it was a lot of it was Farley Spade, Chris Rock, Sandler, Mike Myers, Schneider, Norm came in there for a little bit, Norm Macdonald. But then
that was a good decade. That was a very good.
But then you get to the next level, and it's it's Will Ferrell and Tina Fey and all those kind of ones, and then you go to the next one where you get your like Bill Hader and Andy Samberg. So it is always that thing of every year they say, SNL's lost it and whatever, but then that cast, you'll go to 5 years later. And everyone looks back at that cast 5 years ago being like, that cast was so much better. It's really, it's really interesting how SNL, and I mean, I'll look at the cast now and think, there's not a whole lot going on there, but then I'll find a couple of people that I really enjoy. And then maybe in 5 years' time, I'll look back on that cast and think.
Right now, Colin Jost is killing it with his Pete Hegseth impression. All right, he's doing a Pete Hegseth. Because I've never seen Colin Jost do anything but the Weekend Update. So to actually see him do something different is not only refreshing. I got to see that he has another side of him, that he's talented in something else, because he rocks it at the Weekend Update.
Him and Michael Che together.
They kill it.
And obviously doing the joke. I mean, the biggest thing is that how they do the joke swaps.
And
Michael's writing. Oh my god, it's amazing.
The Black Superman one I like. That's one of my funny.
And then obviously they did a few with what's his wife's name, Scarlett Johansson, making fun of her, and then they had her in the other. And I know it's obviously staged, and they make it look like she's getting so offended and all that kind of stuff, but it still works. And so SNL for me, in high school, I would watch Conan, Late Night with Conan O'Brien every single night. So his humor gets me. Trey Parker, Matt Stone,
of course.
Everything they've ever done, not only South Park, but
the
then
Book of Mormon.
I
love the Book of Mormon. I listen to that soundtrack at least once a month.
Yeah, my wife and I went, so we go to a few. I find musicals for me are hit and miss. I love Rocky Horror and a few of the other ones. I'm a big Tim Minchin fan as well, so I went and saw Matilda. Didn't enjoy that one quite so much, but then I'm like, look, it's the South Park boys have done Book of Mormon. I've heard how good it is. Yep, we'll go and see it. Went and saw it live. Yeah. And once they get, that I couldn't pronounce exactly.
That's the
one. Holy shit! So they start with hello and a few of the other the other songs, and you think, it's kind of funny. You've got the Josh Gad, whatever the Josh Gad's characters in it, being, you know, the fat funny guy, and you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get this. And then you get to that song and you think, what, like, how the fuck is this winning Tony? Like, how is this on Broadway? This is insane.
Because it is a genius freaking script. The thing is like, you can't download the show. It's not available.
I think they've talked about that they wouldn't mind doing what Hamilton did, how they've recorded.
I'm sure a time will come eventually where they would release.
But there's no way. Yeah, hence why I knew nothing about it. Yeah.
The only way I actually watched it was downloading a video of some douchebag with his video camera. But I got to see the whole show. Yeah. And even though I saw heads in front of me, it was the only way I could watch it. Being living in Bahrain, they're not going to show the Book of Mormon in Bahrain, you know. So I watched the whole thing and I downloaded the script and I read the script, and I can see why it won. It is a genius freaking storyline.
Yeah.
And the characters are amazing. The whole Turn It Off song alone, my God, it was impeccable. It was one of the best things I ever read in my life. The funniest things I had ever read. Ever. And it wasn't just Trey Parker and Matt Stone. They had
the guy from Avenue. Yeah, they had the guy from Avenue Q.
Yeah. And he wrote the song for Frozen with his wife.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's the dude. Yeah, he wrote. Yeah, he's won an Oscar before.
Yeah,
you know, and this guy is because he's a lyricist.
Yeah,
as well. He writes songs, so he helped them put all that together. And wow, the Book of Mormon. At least download the soundtrack. You will not be disappointed. It is funny as hell. And Josh Gad's character always gets the girl's name wrong throughout the whole show.
Right,
that was another element. You know, it's not in the song. It's not any of the songs, but I read the script, but it's there, and that was very hilarious. No, good answers, man. Very good.
Yeah, as I said, like I did love stand up growing up, and a weird one for me is Daniel Tosh back in the day. I loved his style. Like, unfortunately, he sort of got a bit more of a reputation for doing his TV show and Tosh.0 and all that kind of stuff. But I thought his stand up was really good, and yeah. Obviously the usuals, you know, the Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy and all that kind of stuff, but Carlin but I certainly never took inspiration from them because they're just next level sort of guys. But there's a few. I mean, especially people like Conan. Some of his
admirers.
Yeah, but also some of his mannerisms when things go wrong, or you know, like if I'm on stage and you know something either doesn't get a laugh or something goes wrong, or I, you know, say a word wrong, I'm sure there's some mannerisms that I do that I've probably in the back of my mind got off him because it's, you know, that.
Johnny Carson was the king of that.
Yeah.
Whenever a joke didn't go well, he would always say, "Hey-oh!" Something like that, and that was his signature line when something bombed, but everybody laughed at. David Letterman would throw the cue cards behind him, and throw it away, you know, but to keep it lively.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but all right. Okay, Daniel, you are stranded in a deserted island. You can only bring with you one comedy album, one discography of any music, and one movie. What would they be?
Right. Where should we start? Movie might be the easiest for me. I watch a lot of movies. Geez. I mean, Silence of the Lambs has always been one of my favorite movies. Whether or not that's the one where it's like, do I just keep on going back and forth? There's one that no one's going to know, including yourself, called Safety Not Guaranteed, which is my all-time favorite movie. If anyone, so it's Aubrey Plaza, Jake Johnson, and whatever the guy's name is from, he was the taxi driver in Deadpool.
The Indian dude.
Yep. So he's the third one.
He's known as the Indian dude. Safety Not Guaranteed.
Safety Not Guaranteed. So what it's based on a true story. It was a Craigslist ad where basically a guy has put up a thing. He's saying, I'm looking for someone to come with me back in time. Your safety is not guaranteed. Bring your own weapons. You'll be paid when we get back. So basically they've taken that as like, you know, a real life story of that, and they've basically made a movie about it.
Like a science fiction type thing.
Yeah. So it's sort of it's kind of a coming of age kind of thing because Aubrey Plaza's character in it is kind of at a bit of a crossroad of what she wants to do.
And she's funny too.
And so it's kind of them finding the guy that's put the ad in the paper and then going to this small beach town, and then Jake Johnson's using it as a way to reconnect with a lost love and all that. So there's elements of everything, you know, comedy and romance and sci-fi and all that kind of stuff. So hence why I might go with that one. Because I feel like it's the movie I've rewatched. I've rewatched Probably that and Clerks. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan as well.
Kevin Smith's great.
Especially early. I mean, once he started getting into when he got into his weed smoking days, doing Tusk and Yoga Hoses and all the later movies. I'm not quite as into them, but obviously the early days of Chasing Amy, Clerks, Mallrats,
great
Dogma.
great films. Mallrats, great films.
Oh, so yeah, discography. Yeah, it's hard to think because my music taste kind of changes. If you'd asked me that 5 years ago, it'd be completely different. I might go. I mean, because I may not have to go with a discography. I mean, I love Chris Cornell, Soundgarden. So whether I go with Soundgarden or because my favorite song of all time is Hunger Strike, which was Temple of a Dog.
Okay.
Which is him and sort of a super group that they've put together. But I guess I'd go with something like that. What was the third one? Comedy album. Do you know what I did love? And he's sort of, I mean, it's been 20 years since he put this out, but it's the one that I grew up with and I watched the most was Jamoan did a comedy album called All Over the Shop.
Okay.
And just that it's all that it's all Jamoan's, subtle takes on it's similar to Carl Barron and all those kind of things where it's like they're just poking fun at real life and just the little nuances of day-to-day living. And I just found that back in the day, and I still love Jamoan and everything like that, but I feel like that was early 2000s and that was when he was really, really at his peak. And look, I understand that there's definitely albums out there that but that just meant something to me. So
I remember as a kid, the first time I saw Jamoan as an early young teenager was his appearance on Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Yeah.
Do you remember Hey Hey It's Saturday?
Yeah. Well, I'm 40 next year, so I'm old enough.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're old enough to know about Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Jamoan on that, and I was laughing more at his accent than I was at his jokes because I was too young to understand exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But the presence that he had on stage was so captivating. It even hooked kids as young as me.
Yeah.
And I was like watching him and go, this guy is funny. I don't know what he's saying, but he's funny.
Yeah.
And Jamoan has that, appeal about him, which is amazing. So Daniel, if you could perform your comedy for any audience in history, which time period would you choose?
I guess 90s. I don't know. Maybe it's just because that's when I watched the most comedy, and whether I just thought that was sort of when this era, the current era of stand-up is so one-sided, one way or the other. I feel like 90s was still when everyone was sort of on the same page. And
like early 90s or mid?
I guess...
I guess the 90s had its own evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably say late 90s, I guess, because that was sort of
98 kind of thing?
Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah,
okay. I love the 90s. The 90s to me was like the last clean decade.
Yeah.
I always used to say that the 70s was like the greatest New Year's Eve party in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The 80s was the hungover decade because of all the crappy styles and hairdos that they had in that, and dudes wearing makeup. I mean, we had dudes wearing makeup in the 70s, but it was just very, very heavy in the 80s. It was like more experimental. And then the 90s, we woke up, we recovered from the hangover, and things started to make sense again. Boy bands came back. Like, we had New Kids on the Block, but that was just a nightmare. I wouldn't call that back. But if you remember in the Motown days, in the 60s and 70s, you had the Temptations, you had the Four Tops, you had all of these groups. And in the 90s, they brought them back. You had Boyz II Men, you had Jodeci, and then you had the Blackstreet Boys before you had the Backstreet Boys. All right? And so it was like it was like they remembered what used to go on in the 70s before that New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
And they had forgotten all about that in the 80s, where you didn't see much of them. And then they brought it back in the 90s when they cleared their heads. Yeah. So I feel like the 90s and the 70s have a connection still. And at the 80s, something great came out of the 80s, but I don't remember half of it because they were just all hungover.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's sad. Like nostalgia these days is just next level. And for me, I grew up in the 90s, and that's...
And 80s films were freaking awesome because like you could put anything in an 80s film and the audience would just accept it. Like Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
Remember Teen Wolf?
Yeah.
All right. All of a sudden, Michael J. Fox turns into a wolf during a basketball game. And in the 80s, everybody was like, all right, let's go with it. You're a wolf now.
Exactly.
Today, they all run away from that wolf or whatever. That would be like the proper reaction. But in the 80s, they'll just go with it. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm a big horror movie fan as well. And horror in the 80s. I mean, horror in the 70s was incredible as well. But yeah, 70s and 80s.
Werewolf in London.
Yeah, American Werewolf.
There it is. American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
That transition scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we've got amazing CGI and Van Helsing, how he turned into a wolf is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just more about effect than it was about acting. This dude, his transition, the acting in it.
Oh, practical special effects will never be topped. Like there is
never. I mean, I'm still blown away from Michael J. Fox's transition in the bathroom.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Before his father catches him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that alone. And you know what inspired all this wolf stuff? Thriller.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Thriller helped, introduce that kind of thing in the 80s a lot. Because when he turned into a wolf, obviously, he played a wolf and a zombie.
Yeah.
And that kind of like, okay, then Teen Wolf came out, then American Werewolf came out, all this wolf stuff was coming out based on how big Thriller was. Whoo! Okay, and now we're in the boring 2020s. What do we call it now? Because if we say 20s, I'm thinking Prohibition 1920s.
That is the hard part now. What I mean?
There's no identity in our decades.
Yeah.
Noughties, I get it. Noughties, naught, zero.
Yeah.
Then what? 10s, 20s. You know what I mean? 30s. There has to be a different name to identify these decades. Because like when we talk about 90s, we know exactly what we're talking about. 80s, 70s, 60s, and so on. In 2060, if I want to say, remember back in the 30s. How's that going to sound?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I guess we just have to put the 20 in front of it. Back in the 2030s? Back in the 2020s?
I guess so, yeah.
It's going to be like that. I feel like it's kind of lost its identity, you know? All right, Daniel, we've reached the existential part of this. I like this because I want to get deep, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually. So I'm going to ask you some of these existential questions. Are you ready for these?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, D to the annual. Do you become a comedian because you have something to say or because normal life never really made sense to you in the first place?
Oh, they're kind of similar. But yeah, I think it's because you've got something to say.
You've got something to say.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's a little bit, what right do I have to have a whole room of people listening to just what I have to say? But at the same time, yeah, you've just got that want and that need to get in front of a bunch of people and sort of speak your truth, I suppose. But, it's a real, not everyone's doing material like that. Like I probably am not, but yeah, there's definitely a lot of people out there that just feel the need to yeah.
Okay, we kind of touched base on this, but I want to get more of an answer. So, Mr. Initials DV, is Adelaide a testing ground for comedians or the final boss of quiet audiences?
Oh. Well, I mean, it's tough because obviously, with Adelaide, the Fringe Festival is one of the biggest things. Yeah, is one of the biggest things going around in Australia. So, maybe 11 months out of the year, it is quieter audiences. But yeah, it's a great way, it's a great 11 months to get to a point where then you can, show what you've created at Fringe time. So it's not a bad, it's definitely not a bad place to start. And it's not a bad place to be when you're, trying to find who you are on stage.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
I'm certainly not the type to shit on Adelaide.
No.
I'm not saying that you were. I'm just saying that there would be a lot of people who are like, oh, I just want to get out of this town. And
if anyone's getting that and picking up that impression that we're crapping over in Adelaide, we are not. It's like, but Adelaide is like the quiet state.
Yeah, which is why I love it.
The norm state.
Yep.
Like it's the state where old people come to retire. They come from Queensland here to retire. It's a safe state, I would say.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
I feel like it's the safest state out of all states, even though we did have the highest rate of serial killers compared to all the other states. We did have that back in the 90s, early 2000s. But still, they only killed the boring people or the one that they didn't like. All right, everybody's likable here.
Yeah.
Oh God. All right, enough about murder then. So, D to the Venables. Is bombing just failure, or is it the purest form of honesty comedy can offer?
It's sad because as soon as you said bombing, I was thinking of what's going on overseas right now. But
yeah,
no,
yeah,
you
yeah.
mean on stage.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I'm like, this is getting...
Do I look that stereotypical type that I'll use that kind of bombing?
Like I get... sorry, can you answer the question again?
Yeah. Is bombing just failure, or is it the purest form of honesty comedy has to offer?
Oh, it's sad because I've unfortunately with the way my mind works, it feels like failure, but it shouldn't. It should definitely be the best way of learning and moving forward. Whereas, yeah, for me, unfortunately, with where my headspace is at most of the time, it unfortunately, it turns into, self-hatred.
In the world of comedy, with the greatest comedians, they say bombing is a badge of honor. It's because you just broke your cherry.
Yeah.
It's like, losing your virginity in comedy.
Uh-huh.
It happens. And, even Richard Pryor in the 70s, he had a show called Live on the Sunset Strip.
Yep.
You familiar with that?
I know of it. Yeah.
Now, he's performed that around many places in the States. And not every performance was as great as the one that was recorded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was even booed off stage in one of them with that same material. Booed off stage. Maybe he said something, maybe he did something, or maybe he wasn't feeling it that night. He didn't, but the thing is, even at that peak when he was the best, Richard Pryor, the man, got booed off stage.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll admit that I've seen people do their fringe show, so you see them do a whole hour. So then when I've seen them next time at, say, Laugh Lab or wherever else doing 5 minutes, they can do the exact same material that I've seen that killed in their fringe show, and then they do it during their 5 minutes in front of a completely different crowd and it gets no response. Yeah. So it is one of those things of being like, look, just keep working on it, keep building on it, and if you think it's, if you think it works, then just tweak things here and there, maybe judge your audience based on what they've laughed at with the other comedians on the night, or what you just, because you're not always going to get, I guess with fringe there can be a lot of friends in the audience as well who are more likely to laugh, or it's just, you can just have a completely different room. So don't always think of it as, if you're not getting the response that you're after.
Yep. Which leads us to our final existential question. Sir Daniel, if laughter is validation, what does silence become? Rejection or truth? I'm telling you, we go deep.
Yeah, no, it feels that way. Rejection or truth? Maybe truth. Yeah, I mean, rejection just seems so harsh. You know what I mean? It's like, if I like, it's tough because if I'm going to Laugh Lab for 2 hours and only on stage for 5 minutes, I'm an audience member for the other hour and 55 minutes. And often I'm just sat there thinking about, if I haven't gone on stage yet, I'm thinking about my own material and like so I'm often, or if I'm watching someone on stage and think, oh, that's funny in my mind, but it doesn't come out. So I guess it's not, it may not necessarily be either of them, but I don't know. I guess it sort of depends on each.
Don't you feel acceptance can be incredibly important? Because once you get that acceptance, you got a better chance of doing well.
Yeah.
Because I have stood in front of an audience where I felt like I was being interrogated. Mm-hmm. They were just looking at me like, oh, you better be funny, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to waste my time.
Yeah.
And I've had experiences where I didn't get booed, but I didn't get the reaction that I've been used to getting.
Of course. Yeah.
And I was like, what's wrong with this crowd? Do my jokes not work with it? Because you want your jokes to work for the majority, not just one particular type of audience. You want it to work for all. I want to make a 17-year-old laugh as much as I can make a 50-year-old person laugh.
Yeah, but that's also, but at the end of the day, that's based on the comedy that you're writing. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you do just need to, think about what you're actually saying. The one thing that pisses me off the most is when people, they'll say a joke or something that's, maybe completely, just what people don't want to hear, and they don't get a reaction, and they think, oh, I'm too smart for you guys, or, this material's It just annoys me just to be like, well, maybe it's not on the audience. Maybe it's on you for coming up with that material and thinking that it's going to work in front of these types of people.
I did hear one person say to another, I don't know if it was words of encouragement or words to not make him feel bad or whatever. He goes, your comedy was just too clever for them. You know? Like I've heard people say that.
Which I'm sure happens.
You know, yeah. Like I'm sure if you know, a joke or two that probably went over their heads, like if they didn't understand a particular pun or something, then yeah, I can get that. But because I was told that one time and I understood why, because I was performing in Bahrain and they didn't understand that lingo.
Yeah.
So it didn't work.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to revamp it into their slang terminology, which worked better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you've got to do at the end of the day is if, you know, you've got to look back and think, well, maybe I just didn't get the right crowd, or maybe it's me. I
think it's a combination of both. Of
course.
It can be. Because I'm sure, like Louis C.K., I'm a big fan of Louis C.K. stand-up. He didn't do too well in Melbourne.
Right.
He came to Melbourne and he didn't do too well at all. It's like they didn't find his sense of comedy humor as funny as he would get in the States or anywhere else in the world. Now, I'm sure if in other parts of Australia, he probably did very well. But in Melbourne, he got like no love from the crowd.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, and you know, Melbourne's got a good big ass sense of humor. You know, Melbourne's funny. All right, but then again, do they know who they were seeing? Because if Louis C.K. is coming, I'm going to go see Louis C.K. because I know who he is.
Yeah.
You know, so I know I'm going to get my money's worth and I'm going to enjoy it. I don't know how many people of them even knew who he was, but I'm sure they must have known. Yeah. You know, and he was talking about that in one of the podcasts. He was a guest in the podcast, and he was saying he didn't get much love.
Was this recent?
No. We're talking just maybe over a decade ago.
Okay,
so was it before the masturbating scandal?
That was my point. I'm like, I wonder if he'd sort of when he got quote unquote cancelled.
Yeah.
He
came back bigger and stronger.
Yeah, you know? Exactly right.
I mean, talent is talent. You can't hide that shit away.
I mean, there's a difference between what he did and what Bill Cosby did. You know what I mean?
He got busted jerking.
Yeah.
This guy got busted drugging. Yeah, it ain't the same. It ain't the same.
Exactly.
Oh, God. Yeah. All right. Now, I want to play a game. I like playing games. Now, should I ask you these questions the way the Joker from The Dark Knight will ask these questions? No, I don't think so. No, we're just going to go regularly. It's called Wrong Answers Only.
Right.
Okay? Now, obviously, the whole goal here is to give me the wrong answer the most creative way possible. Now, Daniel, what was the plot to The Lord of the Rings?
Oh, geez. Lord of the Rings. I think it was two guys and they got really, really high and felt like food, so they ended up trying to find a local White Castle.
Yes.
And it was just hilarity ensued.
Yes, getting high from the long bottom leaf.
Exactly.
That's what it was all about, because they did a lot of pipe smoking in that movie.
Yeah.
And they had to go all the way to Mordor to get the White Castle because they cooked better there.
It was worth it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And then that's when they were so high they couldn't realize they could have just taken an eagle flight there and been there in seconds. They fucked up and walked the entire time.
Yeah. And
for 9 hours.
I was just going to say, and then they had about 10 endings to that movie. It wouldn't fucking finish.
Yes. Who said the following quote? Mankind must put an end to war, or war will put an end to mankind.
I think it was Michael Jackson said that.
He did. Yeah. He was actually going to put it in one of his songs. That was actually going to be Billie Jean instead of... It was supposed to be this instead of Billie Jean.
Yeah.
That's right. Michael Jackson definitely came up with those quotes.
Yeah, great guy.
Yes, he was. I'm going to go see the movie tomorrow.
I don't know. I've heard mixed... I thought I was hearing really bad things, and then now I'm suddenly hearing really good things.
It's very hard to make movies about people so iconic like Michael.
Yeah.
And my favorite movie about a musical star is Ray.
Right. Yes. Great
because
choice.
It was done perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about Jamie Foxx's performance, which was legendary. Mm-hmm. The movie in a whole, the storyline, the drug addiction, all that was perfectly captured.
Yeah, I would
Now-
say lately I haven't enjoyed many, like Bohemian Rhapsody.
It was
not so-
okay.
it was fine.
It was fine. I enjoyed Rocket Man. I enjoyed more.
Yeah, so
I enjoyed Rocket Man because it really felt like an Elton John film because it was a musical.
Yeah,
they
that's
turned
fair.
it into a musical.
Yeah.
I liked that angle.
Yeah.
But again, it wasn't as mesmerizing as Ray.
Yeah.
James Brown, Chadwick Boseman, God bless him, but the movie sucked.
Yeah.
I made my son watch The Jacksons: An American Dream, which came out in '92, was a TV movie.
Right.
Again, not amazing, but it was 7.5 stars. Michael is 7.6. So it's going to live up to that.
Yeah. Anyway.
So moving on. Since we're talking about songs here, finish the following song lyric. Somebody say, hey, we want some.
Oh, God. I don't even know the song.
Really?
No, what was it?
That's Two Life Crew. Somebody say, hey.
Because in my head, I'm like, I was
some.
just going to say fun, but then now I'm thinking maybe that is the right lyric.
No,
so
okay, fun. Fun is good.
Fun is good.
The real lyric was, somebody say, hey, we want some pussy.
Right.
You haven't heard of the Two Life Crew?
Oh, I've heard of them, but yeah, no, it's maybe not my cup of
but
tea.
you're 40, you should know this stuff. Okay. Final question. What's the greatest movie ever made?
Oh, that sucks because I want to give you the right answer. Adolf Hitler, the musical.
Okay, is that a thing? Okay, if it isn't, I'm going to definitely look it up. And if it isn't a thing, we should definitely work on it.
Absolutely right. Well, that's kind of what they were doing in The Producers, wasn't it? They were doing
the Führer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We could do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Why not? Why not? I'd want to see that. Okay, and I wonder who would play a good Hitler. All right, now we have reached the conclusion part of the podcast, Mr. Daniel, the non-East Coast football player. I got disappointed. Oh, it's not him. No, I'm just not. Now, I'm going to ask you a series of 10 questions. These 10 questions were made famous by American writer / actor named James Lipton. And I can never mention James Lipton without mentioning James Lipton's favorite journalist who inspired him, a Frenchman named Bernard Pivot. Short answer questions. What is your favorite word?
Serenity.
What is your least favorite word?
Probably like phlegm, mucus.
Okay, yeah. What turns you on?
A weekend day off with no plans.
What turns you off?
I mean, what's the right way to say it? Someone that's two-faced, like someone that isn't true. If you speak to them, they'll say one thing to your face and talk shit to you behind your back. Yeah, that kind of just I have no time for people like that.
Not genuine.
So yeah, exactly right.
Exactly right. Yeah, okay. What is your favorite curse word?
I don't know how. I don't think I've cursed much here. I don't curse a whole lot. I say fuck's sake a lot, often while watching football. So yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay.
It's just a good fuck's sake.
Yeah.
That's probably where I'm at.
Very, very common one.
Yep.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Just answer the question.
Yep. Exactly right. Yep. I love it. It works. It works.
It works in all scenarios.
Yep,
actually,
for sure.
You got cancer.
Fuck's sake.
That's a sketch idea. Okay, we're going to move on. What sound or noise do you love?
Do I love? Like rain on the when you're trying to sleep and you can hear the rain on your roof. I do like it's just a relaxing sound. It gets rid of the silence.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a comfortable silence. Kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. It's relaxing.
Yeah. What sound or noise do you hate?
Chewing noises. And I'm sure, but I'm sure, and it's annoying because it's like I clearly I don't hear it myself, but I clearly do the same. But yeah, I just hate it. I was listening to a podcast today, and he wasn't doing it on this one, but Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. If you watch him do interviews in the 90s, he's always got chewy in his mouth, and he's always just talking while and it fucking pisses me off. So yeah, that's one that really gets me.
Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Well, I guess because I'm not in comedy. It's I guess being a writer, being paid to write would be. I mean, it sucks because they always say sometimes it can ruin It can ruin a hobby if it becomes a job, but I would love
when
it.
you say writer, do you mean like a novelist or a columnist? Well,
Yeah,
novelist.
it's one of those things where, I mean, especially with stuff like novels, it's like, well, you can do that I could go home and do that right now, but yeah, getting paid to write would be amazing. Making a living out of, paying the bills.
Maybe you can make a Lord of the Rings type film with one ending. Okay. What profession would you not like to do?
Something, going back to something like, I mean, I know they make a lot of money, but like a dentist, I couldn't do. I hate saliva. I hate chewing noises, obviously. So it's like, I think anything around the mouth would be a no-go. Okay. So yeah, we'll go with that.
We were talking about Cosby earlier. He had a fantastic set about a dentist in one of his stand-ups. It was great.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? With Cosby, he was next level as well. His comedy was amazing. I loved the Cosby show growing up. We would watch it. And just these days it's hard. You can't go back to it, and it sucks.
No, you can't unsee or unlearn what you've learned.
There's so many things that I still remember to this day that make me laugh that I got from Cosby or the Cosby show, and now you sort of laugh and go, I can't enjoy it anymore.
No, you know what's incredibly ironic? One of Richard Pryor's wife said, because Richard Pryor hated Cosby. They had a rivalry. They hated him.
Yeah, there's a few. Eddie was the same.
Yeah, and Richard Pryor said, Richard Pryor's wife said, Richard Pryor is ugly on the outside with his raw comedy, but he is nothing but sweet sugar on the inside. He's the most lovable person in the world. Bill Cosby is the exact opposite of that. And he would show you a sweet side, but inside he is demented, deranged lunatic.
Yep, we found that out, didn't we?
And we found that out. And she said this in a documentary back in the late 90s.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And nobody listened.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that knew about what, because apparently, the big thing that set it all off was Hannibal Buress going up one night and getting filmed just talking about it. But it was like that wasn't the first time, he wasn't the first one to find out about it. It had been rumored about for years and years and years, and it's just great that and it's just great that it eventually, it just sucks that, he got to live so much of his life.
And he's still alive. He's still alive. The evil ones live for a long time, man.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I guess it would be, that, all your dogs are here, because I assume that I'm going to outlive my dogs. And I'm such a dog lover that, just knowing that if there is a heaven, that not that I believe that there is, but if there was, knowing that, dogs get up there too. I assume that family members do too, but knowing that people and things and that I love are all there, I suppose.
So you would want God to say to you, they're waiting for you out back?
Basically. The boys are all here, basically.
Okay, wonderful. All right, Daniel, thanks for coming to the show.
No worries.
If you could have the audience take one thing from this episode that you're in, what would it be?
I mean, I haven't been overly funny, but I guess I've been genuine, so that's what I would like.
This is not an audition.
No, but no, like I was saying, I hate people that are two-faced. It's what I'll speak. And saying it, with trying to do my Fringe show next year based around my life and what my wife and I are going through is and I'll take any questions but I'll tell the absolute truth, and
we'll keep our eye open for that flyer.
Fingers crossed,
come out soon.
Yeah,
you got to work on that flyer.
Yeah, I was going to say I got to start working on the material to start with.
Well, yeah,
for sure.
And I'm sure it'll be a success. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you,
and thanks everybody for watching. Again, follow me on my Instagram at Fame Film Agency and click the subscribe button on my YouTube at Magic and Dairy, and follow Daniel Venables, the Adelaide local comedian, not the West Coast player.
You do a bit of both. Follow us both.
Just to be on the safe side, follow them both. And until next time, everybody, peace out.
I'm broke, bitch.